In this lesson, we are going to be comparing probabilities. Now, when you compare something, you're looking for either the most likely success or the least likely success. And the best way to do that is if you're given certain denominations is to make sure those denominations are either both percents or both in decimal form. By doing so, then you can compare them, and if you're asked for which one is most likely, the highest percent or the highest decimal would be that choice, or the one that's least likely would be the lowest percent and the lowest decimal. To change a percent to a decimal, okay, say if we had 55%, which is what we have here in our problem. Happen to pick the right one. We know that our decimal is at the end. Okay, if you don't see a decimal, decimal is always at the end of a percent. And we move the decimal 2 spaces to the left, 1, 2, because remember, a percent is out of 100. So 55 out of 100, if you divide, you end up with getting 0.55 as your decimal. Okay, and if we were turning that decimal to a percent, so if we had 0.25, we would move the decimal 2 spaces to the left in order to create that percentage of 25%. And in this case, the decimal would drop. So Ike is deciding whether to take his girlfriend on a dinner date or a movie date. The probability of him having a successful dinner is 55%. So dinner is 55%. The probability of having a successful movie date is 0.45. Which of these events is more likely to happen, I guess? Here with our 55%, we can change it to a decimal. We already know that. Move the decimal over 2 spaces and we get 0.55. Comparing that to 0.45, the likelihood of a successful date would be greater with the dinner date. So remember, less than, greater than, the alligator eats the larger number. So he would have more of a successful dinner date than a movie date. We can try one more example here. Gustavo is the league's home run leader. The probabilities of his total number of home runs for the season are follows. Probability of 0 to 19 home runs is 1 out of 4. Probability of 28 to 39 home runs is 45%. And probability of 40 plus home runs is 0.3. Put the following events in order from least to most likely. Again, you want to make sure that all of these are put in some sort of form. Decimal form would probably be the best form for this. 1 divided by 4 ends up being 0.25. Changing our percent to a decimal, moving the decimal over 2 spaces, we get 0.45. And since we have 2 decimal places with the other one, we can add a 0 for the last one. So 0.25 is the least amount, and that would be for the 0 to 19 home runs, which that could stay there. The next likely would be the 40 home runs, and then finally the last one would be 20 to 39, because we have 0.25 here, 0.25, 0.30, and then 0.45. And that's a little bit about comparing probabilities.